right, well, the White House seems pleased with the 2 million Obamacare enrollees. What they are not telling you, according to the Wall Street Journal, many of them had insurance before Obamacare.
And joining us right now to react to that and with the latest on the Obamacare in his state, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. Good morning to you, Governor.
Good morning. Good to be with you guys.
And the story out there is that, according to the Wall Street Journal, of the people, remember there are 50 million Americans who needed health care, and that's why we passed Obamacare. Right. Well, so far, only 11% of the people who have signed up didn't have it before.
Yeah, and I don't think that's shocking to a lot of us who raised concerns about Obamacare in the first place, but just take that a step further. In our state, there's just over 40,000 people through the end of the year. Obviously, a big jump from just the 5,000 or so we saw through the end of November. But let's look at who they are. Supposedly, to work nationwide, they needed almost 40% of those signing up to be young people. Mm-hmm. In our state, it's less than 20%. The other interesting thing is our office of the insurance commissioner in this state did an informal survey of insurers. And they found that even of that 40,000 or so, only about half of those people who signed up are paid enrollees. So it's a big question mark as to whether or not these are people actually paying to get that insurance. And that's a far cry from the about 700,000 or so people they identified in their state that they thought would ultimately need Obamacare.
Sure, and ultimately almost 7 million that have lost their plans and had their plans canceled that they were quite happy with. So that's the bad news. I want to talk about some good news, though. Wisconsin, state of the state, you have a $912 million budget surplus, and you have more tax cuts on the way. What's the secret? I know you were with the president, was it last week, together with a bunch of others? Sure. Did he ask you for any tips?
Well, in our states and a lot of other great states across America, there's a stark contrast to what's happening in Washington. We put in place, we made some tough decisions, obviously, the last few years, but they paid off. The economy's better. More people are working in our state, about 100,000 more since I took office. More employers are hiring, and personal income is up. We've seen almost a 4.5% increase in personal income in the last year. That, along with some prudent budget measures, brings us that almost a $912 million surplus, and we're going to give it right back to the people. We're going to set a little bit aside in the rainy day fund, and the rest is going to go into income and property tax relief and changes in withholding. And we're going to spell that out tomorrow night. But it's good news in our state, in Wisconsin, and across the country. There's a lot of other great examples like that.
All right, and it's going to be interesting, too. I'm just very curious on those two topics of your surplus and Obamacare that we just covered. When you told the president what your impression was from the Wisconsin governor perspective, and you see this surplus, was he curious at all?
Well, you know, they talk a little, 6 governors, 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, so it wasn't exactly a partisan debate there, but they are interested about what is happening in the states. It's a stark contrast to the oftentimes dysfunction we see between the White House and the Congress in our nation's capital. We're getting things done, but don't be fooled. I and a lot of other governors who are doing these things are going to face tough elections come this November. In fact, obviously, as you guys know, they tried to take me out in 2012 in the recall election. They're going to be back at it again. The one thing that saved us was a lot of grassroots volunteers who went to places like our website, scottwalker.com, and helped us out. And we're going to need them again in this November's election.
Well, you know, a lot of them are really bugged that you are still in office. And come November, I know there are a lot of special interest groups right now injecting some big money into your state. All sorts of things are being pulled right now. They're trying to get you out of office.
Well, that's right. I mean, you'd think after the recall election where we won by more votes and a larger percentage of the vote than the first time in 2010, that somehow they'd move on to the next race. But instead, we saw last year the AFL-CIO and other groups announced they were shifting money from Washington, from the congressional races to 6 races across the country where they were targeting governors. Obviously, I'm at the top of that list. And for us, the way we counter that is through grassroots volunteers and grassroots donors. Folks, again, visiting our website, scottwalker.com, all across the country and giving us the $25 or $30 and coming volunteering to make phone calls. And that's how we offset that. But clearly, the unions have said they're going to dump more money in our state, and we're going to be ready for it.
Well, you've been down this road before.
Governor, from your meeting there at the White House, just quickly, increased concern on the part of the president in terms of mood before we go? Was he more concerned?
Sorry, the last part I lost you in the last part.
The mood of the country.
Oh, yeah, I think there's a real concern. I mean, I think it's one of those, but that's the difference. Right. We see optimism in the states. Okay. We still don't see that in Washington.
Hey, Governor, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure. Good to be with you.